All right, so we are back with our second interview of the British Web Awards, and we are joined with Felise Garcia, the creator of the Honeytrap Seasons 1 and Seasons 2. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you for that fantastic introduction.
It wasn't even rehearsed. I just flung that one up.
Just went with it. Sometimes you just got to go with it.
Shoot from the hip. Shoot from the hip. So let's go straight to the Honeytrap. And then, so you've already on your second season. Can you just tell us where did it all come from? Because you have many different credits on the series, don't you? So
Yes.
first, and one of the things you did was write it, wasn't it?
I wrote, produced, acted. I was the main casting director. I was the main location scout. Let's see, what else did I do? I did a lot. The Honeytrap was like my very first project ever. And so I wore a lot of hats. Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I'm just going to say on that note, because obviously I totally get that. For people who don't, what's the total advantage of wearing all these hats on your first production, would you say?
The advantage, I mean, getting to boss people around, getting the final say on things. Well, because
I was thinking more of budgeting terms, but
no.
you can boss people around as well. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you save money, but you get to tell people what to do in more departments, so that's always fun. But yeah, especially because it being my first project, because it was it was half and half. Of course, when you're first starting, you can prep as much as you want. You can take as many classes as you want, but filmmaking is just so immersive. You don't know what you want or what you're doing till you do it. And so it's like this balance of getting the help you need, but also I know my story best and I know what I wanted to do. I knew the type of people and how the characters sounded and what I was looking for. And so, I mean, I did get help sometimes in the casting department, but as far as like the main characters, I knew what I wanted. I knew how I wanted it to look. As far as cinematography and stuff like that, I had an idea of a picture of the color scheme and things like that I wanted. And so that's what I would say was the best thing about wearing all the hats, is because I really got to put a lot more input than I guess most people would for their vision. And so that was a plus. But yeah, saving money is always a plus too, you know.
And bossing people around.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have a background in management, and so I think it's just kind of like a natural tendency also.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and it comes in handy with producing, management. There's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
So before and then that, you have the idea. Where did the idea come from for the story, for the show? Because you wrote it as well, didn't you? So it's like, where did all that come from?
Yeah. So you know what's funny is that it's a pretty simple thing that happened. I don't have like this, like, it wasn't this insight about honey trapping or experience I had. I literally just, I was trying to create a part for myself, because where I live in Texas, it's a very small market. We don't have a lot of film and episodic opportunities. It's primarily commercial. And so I've been a writer since childhood, as far back as I can remember. I actually found an old box yesterday because my brother was asking me for a recipe from my grandma. And I said, I know I have it in a box somewhere with all my old writings. And I found like my first book of poems when I was like 6 years old. So I've been writing forever, and I never let that go. And then as I pursued acting, I just started to realize, you know, how hard it was to find work. And I said, you know what, why don't I just put the writing skills to good use and just, you know, write something for myself. And so when I started writing, I started off with, okay, it's going to be me. So I need this to be a female character, very basics. I needed to be the lead, and what can I have her do? And then the one thing for sure I knew I wanted to do, because I like to explore just topics and areas that are very gray area, to make people just kind of have discussions like, is this okay? Or I don't know how I should feel
Yeah.
about this. And so I knew I wanted to do that. So I just started brainstorming, okay, what should I have her do for a living? You know, and I started with the things I think a lot of people do, like she could be a cop, maybe she could work in a hospital, you know, and I said, no, let's see what else I can do. And then it just popped in my head, like, what if she has an occupation where she tests people's significant others to see if they stay fit? It just literally just, it was
Yeah.
a late night, lots of coffee, you know, that's where I get my best ideas. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And then I said, is this a real thing though? And I started Googling, and I just, from like people investigating significant others, I don't even know what I Googled, and honey trapping came up. So I was like, wow, this is really a thing. But I've noticed that more people in Europe are familiar with it, but literally anybody in the US that I talked to about the idea was like, what's a honey trapper? What is that? And so it's just,
And you're like,
that's
aha, watch the show.
yes, that's exactly what I say. I'm like, I don't want to, you know, I'll get excited and talk about it too much. So just tune in and watch the show if you want to find out, you know, more about it. And so yeah, so that's how it happened. That's how I started with it.
Fantastic. So give us the lowdown then. So that's where the idea come from. So what's the basic storyline then for the Honey Trapper? Pitch it to us. What's going on?
You're gonna make me pitch at 9 in the morning. So okay, well, the story is about a woman. Like I said, she her occupation is to answer the question, if your significant other was presented with temptation, would they stay or stray?
Does she take
However,
bribes at all, or?
you have to watch the show,
I
Chris.
like it. I like it. Back in the. Not seen
But
season one, so.
yeah, you need to catch up on that. But so that's the backdrop of the story. However, um it's not like I said, it's a very grayish matter. It's not a simple black and white. And so it's not pitched in a way, the show doesn't present it as in, is it a right or a wrong type of a deal. So you get to see all the different types of situations that come into play, the different types of clients, and the stories at hand. And then also the key thing, a lot of people wonder, why does she do this? Why does she care? And so what I was trying to do with the idea also is not necessarily to make people make a decision about whether honey trapping is a good thing or a bad thing. The show is about why people do the things that they do, what happened to people, what are their motivations, and explores all of that, because there's always more to the surface when it comes to people and situations. And so that's where the show really just digs into all that good stuff, and how layered people are, and how people may seem like one way on the surface, but you never know what happened or what's going on beneath the surface.
Well, that's fascinating kind of information there, because a lot of people just go, you know, ABC, and you look at the surface. So what you've said there's fascinating, because yeah, that's the most important question with a lot of situations, is why, you know. And you
Yeah.
know, with characters or even with arguments, why do two different people have different perspectives, and why do they think like that? And in a
And you
lot of
know what's
films.
something else? Even though it may be giving just a little teeny bit of season one away, but I think it's very important, but not like a total like
Spoiler
ruiner.
alert, people.
But so a question I had recently, because I spoke in front of a class, and somebody said something like, I just kind of thought at first, why even be in a relationship if you're going to have trust issues? And that's something that I knew people were going to bring up when I was going into writing the show. And I said, so first of all, the very first thing I always have to say is, remember, TV is a heightened sense of reality. If it wasn't dramatic and scandalous, we wouldn't watch it. Like, why even watch TV? I was like, but second of all, you know, people do, and this is something that came out from season one. It's a character that says this, that people do research on things that are huge decisions in their lives. When we go buy a house, when we go buy a car, when we go to college, you know, we visit the university, we check, you know, is this going to be the right program for me? We test drive our car, we ask about the house, you know, okay, this is a great price, but what's wrong with it? Are the pipes, you know, messed up or something? So why is it that we can do research on those important decisions in our life, but we can't research the person that we're going to choose to spend our life with?
I was smiling because I thought that's where it was leading to.
Yeah,
You know, really.
yeah. It's
what
like,
a great
so,
pitch.
Yeah, like who decided that it was not okay, you know, to do this? And so it's like we could argue about this all day, but and that's what I love about it, you know, because it's like what you could say that, but then that's just what I love about this topic, is that we could go all day going on both sides. Yeah.
So it's like a relationship MOT in a way, isn't it? To see if
Yes.
it...
Yeah.
I wouldn't suggest doing it every year, but it's kind of like that. But that's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
What a fantastic pitch. What a wonderful summary. You know, that's a really great way of explaining it. Like you say, yeah, you know, you do research into a car, into a house, and why not your partner, I guess.
I mean, I'm just saying, you know.
No, it's great. It's a great angle. It's fantastic because obviously it's relevant. Fantastic. So, you know, you're trying to be creative. You've come up with your idea. You've written your script. So you've got your script all sorted. I think you knew you were going to make a web series, didn't you? Is that kind of format you were going for? So what was the next step for you then? Did you think about funding first, or was it cast or crew? What was on your priority list? You got the script. What next?
Well, the first thing was actually talking to people about it and letting people know, because that's the thing is, you know, you have this thing, but until you start talking about it and like making yourself accountable for it, it's not going to happen. And so that was my next big step, was telling people like, hey, I have this idea and I want to get it filmed. And
Yeah, kind of like, do you mean like kind of outing yourself in a way? And the more people you tell, the more then kind of responsibility you have to do what you said you're going to do. Do you mean that type of thing?
Exactly. So I
Right.
knew that was going to be the next big step, because once I put it out there, people were going to be like, oh, you know, so what's it about? And when are you going to get started? And do you need help? And so that was the next big thing. Fortunately, I had a very rare circumstance where I had saved enough money where I was able to fund it myself. Next project.
Terrific.
Definitely gonna have to crowdfund for the next one, but so that was something I thankfully didn't have to worry about with the project.
Can I be cheeky and ask what the budget was on this?
The budget was, season one was 13,000. I'm not sure. Oh, I'm not sure what that is in what do you have, pounds in?
Yeah, so $13,000 it'd probably be about 10 grand and £10,000 here or something, or
okay, yeah, so about that much. That was for. And another thing I keep telling people too is that the duration of it, it's like a feature film length, all of the episodes put together, because I know a lot of web series, there's a lot that are maybe 5 to 7 minutes. Right now, I feel like web series, there's no one specific way to do it. It's just doing the series, but it came out to a feature film length. It was an hour and a half of footage.
Because with a bit of self-promotion here at the British Web Awards, we've tried to do what you've said there and include as many different formats, because if you even look at Scorsese's The Irishman, that's technically a web film. You know, it was made and distributed on Netflix online. I mean, it had a slight cinematic thing, but it was basically a web film. So yeah, like you said, we don't want to disclude people for having really short content or disclude people for having long content. But yeah, it's fascinating where that medium is, isn't it? But
Yeah.
also on your show is the production quality is fantastic. It's really,
Thank
it looks
you.
like a TV show. And that's when you're judging these things, that's something that leapt off the screen was, wow, this looks like a professional, beautifully shot, high quality production there you managed to pull off, and that's great.
Yeah, my cinematographer slash director of photography, he was fantastic. And it's just so random to how I put out like a crew call on Facebook. And he was a student over at the university in a smaller city closer to San Antonio, where I'm in. And I just remember looking at his quality, and I was like, this guy's a student? Like, he shoots like fantastic. And he had actually done a web series also. So I
Oh
got
wow.
super, super fortunate with that. But I love his style. And it's just like one of those things that just, I don't know, destiny, fate, what have you. But he understood what I was trying to communicate, because it's one of those things where like I knew what I wanted and how I wanted it to look, but I didn't quite know how to like verbalize it, because I didn't know like what an OTS or a medium shot or close up, like those were all the things that I was learning. But when I just told him, so I wanted like from here to here to the, and he was like, okay, I got you. Like, I know
I
what you
got you.
want. Yeah. And so yeah, and so season one, we shot on a black, he had a black magic. And then for
Oh
season
nice.
two, yeah, season two, we ended up renting a red for season two. So
Fancy.
yeah,
In the Red
I
League,
went
yeah.
all out for season two. Yeah. I like red.
Yeah, that's a good promotion. So just backtracking a tiny bit then, what advice would you give to anyone making the first web series and thinking of sourcing a crew and a team? What would you say was a good way to go about it?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I discovered if you can get in contact with the local universities or colleges with the film programs,
Yeah,
there's some talented students. And the thing is, they also have access to good equipment. And so it's great for multiple reasons. You're giving students experience. You're helping to develop the community and
yeah,
the crew in the community, and it's very cost effective. I still believe even if they're students, still want to pay the students, but yeah, it's just valuable connections, because these are filmmakers of the future, you know. And so you can get access to some quality talent and some good equipment for your project. So that'd be one thing I would say about crew, is something that I learned for this. And you know what, Facebook works. Facebook has some good crews, and but always look at work. If you have a lot of people on Facebook, I think it's important to definitely look at their reel if they're completely unknown to you, and just to make sure that they understand what you're trying to do, and what your vision is.
yeah. we we lost our cameraman once, and we just got somebody from the pub to do the camera work for an
Are you
emergency
serious?
shoot once. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Off.
do what you gotta do. Yeah, we had an emergency the first filming weekend of season two, the very first filming weekend, my sound guy ended up in the hospital.
What did you
So
do to him?
I watched season three. But yeah, we had our first AC actually do our sound for the first weekend. It's like we had the stuff, we had the equipment, and we just had to get it done. But yeah, it's I would say that's another thing too, just a word of advice to filmmakers. It doesn't matter how much you plan, if you actually get to bed on time the night before, like something's gonna happen. You just have to roll with it and figure it
Yes,
out.
true.
After
Yeah.
have your heart attack, but then move on. But it's gonna happen. Like, oh my gosh, I could tell you some stories.
I like that. Have your heart attack and then move on. So you said you
Oh
could tell
my,
us some stories. Have you got a good one off the top of your head?
oh my
A good.
gosh. Yes.
Look at my journalism skills. I'm in there with
Yes.
this.
So, to make a very long story short, we almost got kicked out of a location because I don't remember if it was an employee or what happened, but somehow word got to the owner that somebody was smoking inside the restaurant, and it wasn't that, it was our the steam machine. What do you call it?
Oh,
The
smoke machine?
the fog, the fogger,
Fog machine, yeah.
the fog machine. Yeah. And so everybody was panicking, and I was like, who smokes here? Was anybody smoking inside the restaurant? Like, what's going on? And then, like, after, the initial freak out, we discovered that it was the fog machine. I was like, oh my God, so we just had to go have that but yeah, he was like, y'all need to pack up and leave. And I had people
Oh,
from
wow.
like 3 different cities come in, and that had just arrived, and they hadn't even started filming yet, overhearing the conversation.
Oh, God.
And then the thing is too is like, because season 2 I had a lot more crew, because I was trying to be able to focus a little bit more on the acting while I was on set. And I told everybody, while I'm on set, don't ask me production questions. I am focusing on acting. And then that happened. So I was running in my heels, because it was the first my back to work scene in season 2. And so I'm running up in heels in the stairs and trying to talk to the manager, but it all got worked out. But it was very scary. So I literally had a heart attack. Right before I start, I was like, okay, I'm good. Okay, now I'm ready. Like, let's just start rolling. And then I just got into character. But yeah, that was.
I think a good tip for people who act and produce as well is my trick has been it's a lot easier to do that if you do a comedy. If you're doing a drama and stuff, you need, like you said, you need that warm-up time. You need to get into the mindset. With comedy, touch wood, it's a lot easier at times just to play a bit of a fool at times, that I've had to do. But yeah, I wouldn't have liked to have done it with drama. That would have been
no, I don't need no drama before the drama. Like that would, I would never forget that. But oh my gosh, I think I might take you up, start writing a little bit of comedy just in case somebody tries to kick us out of the location again.
Well, I've already made a note of that. The drama before the drama. Well, that's a good line. That's my autobiography. So you've done your scripts, you've got your crew, you was the casting director as well. Where did you source a lot of the actors from as well? Were they all professionals? Were they from the college? Were they friends? What was their process of doing that?
So, funny you mentioned friends. I did have a few friends, but I made everybody audition. Nobody got a part because
what's the benefit of trying to do then, like you say, an audition process rather than you would suit this or you would suit that? What's the benefits of that route?
Yeah, because that's the thing is one thing that helped me too from an actor's perspective doing casting is understanding that you can have great actors. A lot of like I honestly don't remember any bad auditions. Like I was blown away by the talent that auditioned.
Wow.
But you have this vision in your head, and you can have a great actor that just isn't right for the part. And it's not even, sometimes it's not even the look, it's just kind of the essence of a person. Like everybody has their unique essence, and you don't really get to understand that until you start doing casting. And so that's why I have extremely talented actor friends, but I just said I have to hear you read it. I have to hear you do it to know if like this is the right part for you. And so like even my friend Justin, who plays my main assistant on the show, Justin is a very good friend of mine. Justin had to read for that. He had to read it because I was like, I need to know like if this is going to be the right opportunity part for him, and he killed it. I'm thankful because I really wanted to work with him. But yeah, he had to read for it too. So
But until you hear those words spoken, isn't it? Until you hear them come out the mouth, like you say, you could be wrong or you could be
yeah,
right. And in Justin's case, you were spot on. So that's great.
yeah, yeah.
Success story. So you've cast it, you've funded it, you're off. You had a few mini problems during the first production, as anyone would do, I guess, but you finished it. And what was the length of time between finishing it and editing it? How long did that take?
Ooh, okay. So
And where did
between
you get your editor from as well? What was
my DP, the student, he also edited.
perfect?
He's
Yeah,
a Yeah, so he edited also, and it was such a blessing because since he was there and he knew what I wanted,
yeah,
I mean I would sit in on the sessions, but he knew what I wanted, and so whenever I had like edits that I wanted, they were always very minor, and so I was very fortunate in
very,
that I had
yeah.
him do it also. But uh, I went off track, Chris. What was your original question? I started going
I
off.
was just talking about the edit process and how long it would
How
go on for.
long?
But just going on to what you've said there, I think it's so important to people listening as well. And what you had there was the same frame of mind as the person who shot it. And then
Mhm.
you were so fortuitous to have the same person edit it. So when you've got the same vision, it's great, but you can really be in the shit when you don't have the same vision in your head, isn't it? That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
sorry,
Yeah,
that wasn't really
it's
a question. That was that was just
more of a remark, but no, it really isn't, and it seems like something so like common sense, but I don't think people really know to make sure about that, because it can be a struggle, like if you're with
oh,
somebody that is like no, and they're just not getting your story. And so that's why I was very fortunate, but I just think about like what if I had to deal with somebody who wasn't necessarily, there'd be lots of fighting.
oh yeah, it's yeah. If you're not on the same page, it can be well. The difference is night and day. It can really go the other way. So, I think if anyone starts a production, just make sure everyone's on the same page, and yeah,
Yeah,
off you
and I
go.
think that
Really,
had
isn't
to
it?
do with why it was so quick, because honestly for both seasons it was less than 6 months from when we finished until it was 100% complete, picture locked, color grade, everything, and then we were just ready to start submitting.
Wow. Okay. So you finish season one. There's 5 episodes in season one. All right.
Yes.
5 episodes season one. So you finish it. You like it. What did you do then? What was the process? So did you show it to friends first and then decide, let's just send this off to festivals? Was that right?
Yeah, we had our little viewing party,
Oh, nice,
first.
nice.
Yeah, and it's always just kind of like awkward watching your, I don't know, maybe some people like watching themselves, I guess. It's always still kind of weird for me, like, so, but
Right.
because you're looking at it, criticizing. I mean, if you're an actor, or even film, even if you're not acting in the thing, you're looking at it from a critical filmmaker's eye. And so I try to do that as much in the editing process, to be that critical person. And I really just try to just sit back and watch it like a viewer. And I was very happy with it. So I was like, okay, I think it's ready now, to go ahead and get out there. And so then I just, before I could lose my nerve, I just started putting it out into the film fest
Oh,
circuit.
smashing. So what was your then? What was the reaction like when you watched it for the first time with people? Because this is one of the saddest parts about web series creation is sometimes you just shoot it and you just release it online and you can lose the magic of watching it with an audience, can't you? Because
Yeah.
people might say, oh, that was brilliant or that was funny, but you think, shit, man, I would love to have seen you laugh or thing
Yes.
of that. So what was it like when you saw it with an audience, with your party, your kind of opening screening night, was it?
Well, that was exactly it. I was gonna say it was nice because you write this stuff, and not that it was a comedy, but there was some moments in there that I had put in there that I chuckled at, and I was like, I wonder if
Nice.
anybody's gonna laugh at this, you know? And so when you're sitting there and you're actually getting the response, it's just like, you know, just like you did your job that you were trying to, you know, accomplish. And then even just the dramatic part, if I saw people like tensing up or after the, oh my gosh, and I should tell you too, even though my aunt, she couldn't make it to the screening, but when she first saw it, I actually had my phone in the other room because I think I was studying or writing or something, and she had this whole conversation through text with me without me even responding, like, oh my god, and what happened there, and oh my god, and who is this person, and oh my god, you're not gonna die, are you? And it was just this whole reaction through text, and I was just thinking, oh my god, I would have loved to have her at the screening. But yeah, it's good to get that feedback and that response, to just to make sure you communicated, you know, what you wrote onto the screen, what you wanted people to feel. So yeah, it was a great experience just getting those reactions.
Oh, I I had a comedy screening, and uh, I'm based kind of up in the north of England, and I've got a lot of friends in London. And whenever I have a screening party, a lot of my London friends decide to come up. But I was accused by a few people in joshing of having a comedy plant in the audience because somebody was laughing so loud all the way through. And it was my friend, I'm going to name him, my friend Stuart from London, who decided to get drunk all the way up on the train, all the way through the morning. And by the time he came to the screen, he was just laughing from the opening credits. He was laughing all the way. So, and I will invite him to every comedy I do, because that someone could have died and he was laughing. So.
You gotta have that person there that's just like, oh,
I wouldn't invite him to a drama. Don't invite him to a drama.
You can invite Stuart to my next screening too.
He's available. But yeah, so but that's the pleasure, you see. But if he had messaged me and said, I've watched it at home and it was really funny, I was laughing from the start to the finish, you'd think, oh, they're just being polite, or you don't know. Yeah. So it's lovely to have that experience. And you know, that's kind of the beauty of some festivals as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I've actually had people that I've, you know, you stay in contact on social media, but people that I hadn't spoken with in years just reach out and be like, hey, like, I saw your series and we're hooked. And when is there a season 3? And so it's just really awesome. Like, people that aren't even required, you know, they don't need to reach out to me because we haven't kept in contact. But it's like, wow, that somebody went out of their way to message me to let me know that they were hooked. And when is there, I love when people say stuff like that. I'm half happy and half frustrated because I'm like, you don't know how much work goes into making this. You want me to make it already? But at the same time, I'm happy, you know, people loving the work. And so I feel very satisfied as a filmmaker with that.
Yeah, there's nothing better than being approached by somebody you had no idea was watching it, and then saying, oh, we've seen it, because you're like, they don't have to tell that to you. They don't have to bullshit you or anything like that. They're just being it genuinely, and that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Or so it's that's a beautiful feeling. So based on kind of good feelings and stuff, what was one of the best sensations of having the work kind of finished or seeing it? What was kind of the nicest bits of the filmmaking process? You know, like when you saw it with the crowd, or what was the part you thought, wow, that was brilliant, that was good?
You know what? The one moment that I always remember over all the filming days, it was the very last filming day of season 1. And I think sometimes, well, not I think, it's a fact, we're just so like rush, move on set. We're trying to work, we're trying to memorize lines, just do whatever. But that last day, I took a moment and I just stood there on set and I just looked around and was like, wow, there's 30 people on set right now making my thing. They're making my story come to life. Like that guy is lighting this scene for my story. This guy is setting up a camera to film my story. These actors are here because they want to be in my story. So it was just this incredible moment, just standing there like, wow, this is really happening, and all these people like care enough to want and have enough faith in me and the story to want to be a part of this. And so that's like my one moment that I always remember, that I actually took the time to just really just take it all in, because the rest of the other time it was just like move, move, move. But I think that was an incredible moment for me, just taking that in, that all that was happening. So yeah.
Take that step back and you look at the painting, don't you? And it's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful. Yeah. I'd often get to set early and just have a bit of time there just to take it in sometimes, and then yeah, just at the end I think, wow, yeah, this is what happens when you try and bring your dream to life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy seeing something that you wrote just in the process, like people actually doing it and then just seeing it on screen. It's just, I don't think that's ever going to get old. It's just always mind blowing. Like, oh my God, like I wrote this and it's here and we can watch it, you
Yeah.
know?
It's something I said to Kate in a previous interview, was a Quentin Tarantino quote I read recently, where he said, you know, if his mum hadn't met his dad, you know, there would be no Inglorious Bastards, because it all began with a blank piece of paper, you know, and it all came from his head. So, you know, there would be no film without him. And that's the same with your story. There would be no story quite like yours if you'd not made it. So, because it's
Yeah,
creativity and uniqueness. So, yeah, it's a beautiful thing to do.
certainly is.
So, you finish your film, you finish your series, you've put it out there. You then decided you're going to take the first season on the festival run. Was it just, I'm just going to blast it off? What did you do there? Did you target any in particular, or just think?
I mean, the film festival, just overall experience, I had no experience. I had no idea I'm gonna say I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't aware of just, having a target audience, things like that. Those are also things that I learned about knowing your target audience, who your audience is, what type of festivals, are looking for
Yeah.
your type of work. I just kind of like started putting it out there, and was like, how come they don't like it over here? They love it over here, but how come you don't like, and
Yeah,
it's just, and
yeah.
that's fine. I keep telling everybody that's getting started with film festivals that it's like dating, you can go out with somebody and they can be the greatest person in the world, but if you're just not clicking, or that's just not the person for you, I mean, it is what it is, and it's nothing personal. And it's the same thing with the film festivals. Everybody has their particular audience or their preference, and you just may not be a good match for it. And it's fine. And it's just part, I mean, rejection is a part of life. It's not just the film
Oh, yes, it is.
world. Yeah, and so I just tell people, just think about film festivals like dating. So don't take it personal if they don't click with your work, that they're just not the right ones for, your project. Your project was not meant for them though, so you need to find out who your story is for. And so then I kind of started noticing trends of certain areas that responded well to the content. And so when I put season 2 out there, I had a more strategic type of a route I was trying to go. But then it was also another learning experience it again, because with COVID, we didn't get to
Oh,
have our
God.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't, the same week that we were planning to have our premiere, it was either Wednesday or Thursday I was going to have it. That Monday was when we got shut down in Texas, and so we never got to have our premiere.
Oh,
um yeah, and so then there was this whole other thing. I was like, okay, I knew what I wanted to do and how I was going to target the film festival, but now this happened, and so I was like, is this going to change anything, or is there, anything
well,
else?
I've got to say, I don't have very much sympathy for you at all, because
Yeah,
season 2 seems to have just gone around everywhere, and you seem to
yeah.
have won hundreds of awards, I would say, for season 2. It's an
Yeah.
amazing run, isn't it? So
Yeah, it was
whatever you did, and whatever your strategy was, it's obviously a blazing success. So maybe you should have more pandemics. And
yeah, I should. Yeah, so yeah, not complaining at all. It was just like, you know, once again, it's like had a pandemic thrown at me. You know, things were gonna happen. You know, hopefully it's not something that major next time, but it just goes to show you can plan as much as you want, and something's gonna happen. So I took it very personally that the pandemic happened on the week of my premiere, but you know, what can you do? What can you do? But yeah, no, not asking for sympathy at all. Like the festivals adjusted well, and it's been very exciting. And honestly, I feel like it may have even helped in a way, because more people are getting to see it, because people that wouldn't have gone to the festival or wouldn't
yeah,
have seen it now have access to see it online. And so people that probably wouldn't have seen the show or found out about it before now got to see it because the festivals went online. Not saying I'm not looking forward to in-person festivals again, because that's exciting, but I'm
of
very
course, yeah.
thankful for how everything turned out. So yeah, so cheers. Yeah, cheers to that again. To my invisible coffee.
Cheers, cheers.
There we go.
Because when I was sending you the link before, I was just looking at one of our previous emails, and I think it was 10 nominations at the British Web Awards your series got for season
Yes.
2. Remarkable. I think it must have been yours and an Australian series that I think got the most nominations, because I think not many past 10. I don't think people would have got nominated for something.
And
So
I
that's
was flattered. I
tremendous.
remember that because, like, as I've seen a lot of the Australian web series, and oh my god, I have to admit I was a little intimidated, because I've seen some fantastic stuff. I'm like, where did you get your money from? Like, how are they shooting this? I mean,
Yes.
not to mention they are in Australia, so I mean the background is going to be beautiful. But yeah, so I that was like an honor to have that many nominations alongside shows like that. Like it's like I was honored. I just want to say that it was fantastic.
Well, you got to remember it's a reflection of the work now, isn't it? Because you know, from our perspective, your series was judged the same as every other series was judged, you know, and I'd not seen season 1, so that's all a merit of you know, your labor of love, really, isn't it? So it's
Yeah.
yeah, it all goes back down to the work, and like I say to people, and you know, is, you know, the amount of work you put into it, it does come out of it. You know what I mean? So if you take
Yeah.
that bit longer doing the costumes or doing the editing or doing the special effect, that bit longer doing the
Mm-hmm.
writing, it will pay off, because it really does show, especially in web series. It really does. The more effort, the better. And so the first thing that struck us about yours is the quality of it. Just looked fantastic quality. Yeah. So.
Thank you. Yeah, there was a lot of lessons I learned from season one that I applied to season two.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it was, yeah, for sure. For sure. And so I'm excited because
What
there's
was
always going to be something you learn.
the top 3 lessons then?
Delegating more, for one, is delegating more. And it's hard to do, but that's my number one thing I had to learn how to do. Two was the writing. I changed my pacing a lot, dramatically. I
In
would
what way did you
say
change the pacing? In what way would you reckon?
I chose to make the scenes shorter and transition faster versus lumping a 7-minute scene where people are talking. I shaved it down to like maybe 1 or 2 pages, and then cut to the next scene and cut to the next scene, just to kind of keep the pacing a little bit better with
Yeah,
that.
great.
Yeah. And then let's see. Oh, and then I simplified locations. I was like, do I really need to have a bar for this? Or do I really need, to have this? Because I absolutely love the locations we had for season one. But like we shot at a huge hotel, busy hotel downtown in our city. And so it was a handful. And we had about 30 extras on set. And so I kind of going into season 2 was like, do I really need to have that big of a location with that many people? And it'd be
that's a
cheaper,
lot of
you know.
extras, isn't it? 30 extras. That's a sizable
It was,
crowd there, isn't it? It's
yeah,
great.
yeah, it was. And so just learning to cut back things and just look at things and asking yourself, do I really need to have this? And just being more efficient with everything, So
And what was the budget on season 2 in comparative to the first season, would you say?
so I actually got my numbers switched. So season 1 was about 14K and
Yeah.
season 2 was 10. So I shaved off literally like a like a whole episode's worth, because I kind of budgeted 4 per episode for season 1. And so but the thing is, because people say, but you had one less episode, but the episodes were much longer.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
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 So we actually did a lot more filming for season 2, but the locations were simple and I had less money, but they were much longer episodes. So we actually did do more work with less money for season 2.
And that's experience, I guess, paying off, isn't it? Doing it second
Yeah.
time round.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
what was the main kind of then difference in shooting season 2? So kind of you must have just wanted to continue the story straight off. So you probably wrote it probably quicker, would you say, or?
Well, yes, I did actually. I knew the direction I was gonna want to go with season 2, and just like with any TV show, I already had an idea in mind of different characters, because it's always exciting when you start a new season and you have new characters coming in, just kind of like shaking things up. And so I I had already had it outlined, but I finished like the actual scripts within 6 months. Also,
Right.
like actually, but I already knew what I wanted to do. Like with my particular writing style, once I kind of like outline and map my stuff, and I know what I want to do, it just flows from there. Just actually getting down the dialogue and everything else.
Any writing tips you could give any aspiring writers, or any things that you've learned from your process?
Um, Well, I can give more specifics with series writing, because
Yeah.
that's my specialty. Um, I would say for sure always have a cliffhanger to make people want to keep watching, because that's one thing that I really focused on the series, was making sure that whatever happened at the end of the episode, I mean, you want to have your kind of resolution like they always say, but give them a reason to keep watching the next episode. And that's why I had that, conversation that my aunt had all by herself, because she was like, I was just going to watch one episode, but now I need to know what happened. And so I'd say it's very important to always keep in mind the suspense. People love suspense and people need a reason to continue watching. And so always make sure you end each episode and the season with an unfinished story, that it's like you finish it in a certain way, but you set it up for something else. And I think that's the key of TV writing that I love so much, and why I have so much fun with it.
Yeah, because there's a kind of term for TV writing, which is like incompetent writing, because you don't finish the story, but that's what makes
Yes.
it effective. You're not actually
Yes.
finishing the story, but that's the trend, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And I love what you've said there. Give them a reason to keep watching.
Yep.
And that's 100%. So terrific. So then season 2 kicked off, and say, was that much fun to do? More relaxed, would you say then?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
That was a very quick answer. Yeah, you were like,
Yeah,
definitely.
because I was honestly trying to remember how long it took season 1 to film, because it took so long. We were filming like one weekend a month or something like that. And so it took us, oh my gosh, Chris, I can't even remember. It took a long time to get it done. And so going into season 2, I was like, these are the dates we're going to film. These are the dates I need everybody to mark off. We're going to finish this. We did 2 weekends in September and 2 long weekends in October. It was like a Friday through Sunday, and we knocked it out in 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow, great.
it was 12 total days of shooting, 2 Friday through Sundays for 2 weeks, 2 weekends out of each month. And so, yeah, that I was like, we're not dragging this out. I want this done, but that's another thing too. You learn about scheduling and shooting and stuff like that. And you can't do the whole like, so is everybody free? What's your schedule look like for this month? It's like, no, this is when we're filming. This is the schedule. I have equipment rented this day. And so no, I can't, switch it to this or this location. Locations were locked in. And so I think it's really important for people to just put it down and say that's what we're going to do versus kind of leaving it to 10 different people. Like, what's your schedule like? No, just mark it now to avoid conflicts in the future.
Perfect. Was there an exotic location, the second one, or a problematic location, or what was any big location problems on the second one?
You know what? Not necessarily a problem per se, but we had to stay on track because it was episode 3 where we filmed at a coffee shop, and it's a coffee shop downtown, and we only had, because they closed like at 3 o'clock or something like that. So, but we needed to film an interior scene, and we also needed to film the exterior. And so our plan was, let's film the interior so we can stay, as fresh as possible, but we need to get the exterior before the sun goes down. And that's when daylight savings time started. Oh. So I was like, oh my God, like we had to stay on schedule for that. So that's the only thing that I would say was the most panicky location to film this season, because we're like, okay, we got 30 minutes. Okay, we got 28 minutes. Okay, we got 25 minutes, so you just kind of had to keep everybody moving in that sense. But I'd say, yeah, that's like the only panicky situation I had, but we knew what we were going to do. We had visited the location before. We knew where everything was going to get set up. And so it was a pretty smooth shoot, luckily. But yeah, season 2, like location wise, we had everything pretty smoothed out. So
brilliant. Yeah. Which leads on to the question, will there be a season 3?
I'm waiting on Netflix to let me know.
Yeah, we all are.
Well, honestly, I have the storyline set up for it also, because going into each thing I had everything set up. But I have 3 other pilot concepts that
okay, great.
Yeah, and so I'm just kind of like, I'm torn, because I can either do 2 or 3 pilots or do another season. And as much as I love Honeytrapper and my story, I really want to show people what else I can do and my other ideas I have out there. So yeah, I feel like my next thing is going to be one of the pilots, and it's just going to come down to, the location, what kind of locations. I haven't really done that breakdown yet, how many people I'm going to need. So I think you're going to see a new series concept before you see season 3. Like I said, unless Netflix is like, here's $1 million, make season 3, and I'll be like, okay, Netflix, I would do that.
Here we are. And if they do, hopefully there's a part for a grey Englishman as well there. So
we'll find a way.
He'll be there. I'll get my jab and be across. So can you give us any teasers of what one of your pilots is about? Look at me going for the scoops here, aren't I?
You know what, Chris? I would rather not, because I won't shut up, because you're good. I'm going to say too much. I would just say for everybody just to follow me on social media. I'll start dropping hints, because then the thing is too, I may end up picking one of the other ones to go with first, and I don't want to get people, it's that accountability thing. I don't want to get people excited about one concept if it turns out it's going to be easier to film the other thing first.
Okay.
Also, I just kind of, I got to keep people with that interest, you know, to keep an eye on what I'm doing. And so
you're playing it safe. You're playing it safe.
Yeah.
We're nearly an hour in, and that's the first question that hasn't been answered. So I'm going to let you have that. That's okay. That's okay. But I was going to say, based on the topic we're discussing there, one of the advantages is, I guess, you've established now, you know, a product that you can put down and then come back to. And, you know, I've certainly done that with some of my projects. And now that you've established it, you could leave it a while and then, you know, come back to it whenever, or come back to it in a few years, you know, and see what the characters are up to then, or what have you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the lovely thing about it is that that's always possible. You see so many movies, like I just saw Coming to America, and it's like how many years has that been? Like it's
about
like
33 or something.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's been that many years, but every single person that I saw was like, oh my God, you know, and so it's just like, if you have people that are really in love with your story and your characters, it doesn't matter how long it's gonna take for you to get back to it. Like they're gonna be there waiting regardless.
So in 33 years, I'm going to be asking you where Coming to Honeytrap is. I'll be here with white hair saying,
I'm gonna be like, me too, so honey trapping. I'll be honey trapping all the rich men, all the millionaires.
33 years later, we got it. Terrific.
I can't wait.
I'll be there. Brilliant. Okay, well, that seems a nice time to round it up. That's been delightful chatting to you there. And whatever comes next, you know, I mean, we'd love to see more of your work. So make sure if you've got anything you want to send into the British Web Awards, we'd love to see your continued success and seeing what you're up to, really. So, yeah. So
most definitely.
So good luck, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Chris.